Hey guys, so welcome to the second part of the GitHub tutorial. Um, First of all, hopefully the first part was very fruitful for you, just a bird's eye view. If there's some unknowns, don't even worry about it. We'll iron it out together. But the next thing we need for GitHub obviously is going to be a GitHub account. There's also other solutions for version control. I should mention probably now. There's Bitbucket. There's a few others that I vaguely forget, but there's other solutions beyond GitHub that all kind of do the same thing or similar things, which is version control. But step one, let's go ahead and go to GitHub.com, and I want to navigate. This is what their website looks like as of late 2023, and obviously it'll be prone to change. But we want to sign up, and let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and enter my email. So I'll say programwithpags@gmail.com. Oh, it looks like I've already signed up with this, but I promise I hadn't configured anything. So let's see, program with Pags, boom, create a password. I'll choose a password, or it looks like maybe I have a password here. So I'll just go ahead and press continue. Enter username. I'll say program with Pags. And email preference, I don't want to receive announcements and updates, so I'll just go ahead and continue. So please verify that you are a real person. I will go ahead and do that. Looks like I need to point this train this direction. Let's submit. And awesome. Looks like we got through it all. So create account, and it gave us a verification code to this email. So let me go to that email real quick. Let me navigate over to it. And looks like I have a GitHub verification code. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and delete this account after configuring it, because I actually have a GitHub that I use that's a different email, but this is just to show you guys step by step exactly what to do. So how many team members will you be working with? It'll just be me. That's okay. Are you a student or a teacher? Nope. Well, I guess a teacher in this example. What specific features are you interested in using? Well, I definitely want to use collaborative coding. Security is important. Project management, community. I think that's plenty fine. Awesome. So real world tools engage students. GitHub gives teachers free access to industry standard, or what is it? Give access to industry standard tools for training developers. I will go ahead and continue with the free version. But it looks like they do have some awesome tools beyond just version control, which is fantastic. So this is what my GitHub, let me kind of move this out of the way a little bit. But this is what your GitHub should roughly look like. Again, this is late 2023. So by the time some of you guys watch this, it might be 2024 already. So things are prone to change. I've seen GitHub change a few different iterations across my time of using it, but roughly we're going to see a dashboard here. Looks like I have my profile picture. Looks like I can create a repository. And there's a few other things, some onboarding stuff, but don't get overwhelmed. There's definitely a lot going on, but definitely do not get overwhelmed. The biggest thing we just want to focus on is just the create repository. So when I press create repository, if we go back to our lucid chart example, if you guys remember, let's see if this will pull it up. Oh, looks like it's not pulling it up. One moment, guys. Go ahead and reconfigure this real quick. But if we remember vaguely what our repository is, it's where we're going to stash all of our code. So if we want to think of our software as like a library or something, right, where we have different chapters being wrote in our code, right? We have like chapter 1, we have chapter 2, or excuse me, not even like a library, but a book, a specific book. The repository is going to be the entire book, right? It's going to be everything. So our repo will be, if we want to build an application, right now I'm building a project management solution. But let's say we want to build an application that's just like a really awesome to-do list or an employee management system, right? So anything incredibly complicated or anything incredibly simple, right? Whatever it is, we want to store all these codes, all these bits of code inside our repository. And this is our repo ultimately. So we could have multiple repos down the road. Let's say we have one that's an employee management system, but then down the road, I also want to build like an AI car, right? And then maybe I'll have another project that is a to-do list, right? Something simple. These could all be our repositories, all separate from each other, but have their own little code bases or tracking of different versions behind the scenes, right? So that's all the repository is just kind of this larger application overall. So let's go back to GitHub and let's name our first project. So I guess I'll just say our first project. But again, this could be anything. This could be your to-do list. If you're working on a project with a friend, I've had many friends where I'll put my friend's name and I project, for instance. There might be like MERN stack tutorials, whatever thing you're building, an AI car, as I mentioned, or an AI algorithm, or anything. But for keeping it simple, I'll just say our first project here. You can add a description. You could always change these things later, so don't get too stuck on this. And we have a public and a private option as well. So your public repositories, the whole world can see. Your private repositories, these are going to be things that you want to make private if you're stashing environmental variables, if it's code for like work or a freelance project. Or for instance, I'm building a SaaS application, so I've privatized that code. I don't want to make that publicly available. But then I have tutorials. Then I have other code bases that I do have very public. So you have that opportunity here to make your repository public or private. And again, you could always update that down the road. Not a huge deal. You could add a README file, or you can add it down the road. I'll just leave it unchecked. So we'll just do our first project. I'll make it a public repository, and then I'll hit create repository. So this is the screen we're taken to next. And what I want to do is copy down this code. And this is what we're going to do to initialize our repository. But first, we actually need a project to build, to initialize a repository. We don't have any project. We just built a repository where code can be stored, but we don't have any code. So I'm going to cd to my desktop, and I'm going to make directory. If I clear, I will make directory of our first project, right? So I'm basically just building a code, a VS Code project at this point. So however you do that. So I'll go ahead and cd into our first project. This is one way to build a code base, right? I'll say code dot, and it should open up VS Code with this folder. So however you initialize your VS Code projects, go ahead and do that. And let's just build a project. We could build something in Angular, Vue, Python. We could just do an index.html file. Whatever we want to do. So for sake of example, I'll do a next application, right? So npx create next application. Actually, you know what? No, I won't. I'll do something much more simple. Let's just do an index.html file. And I'll go ahead and just build a quick index.html slice. So I'll say, hello world. And this is all our first project will be. So again, if you have a Next application, if you have a Vue application, if you have a Nuxt application, Angular, Python, AI algorithm you're building, any sort of Django application, anything, Flask, serverless, DL, TypeScript, JavaScript, you whatever your project is, you can continue to build upon your entire VS Code file here, and ultimately we want to build a repository for this application, but the application itself doesn't matter, right? So Let's go ahead and copy down. This is all I've done. I just went back to our GitHub here, and I've copied this down. Oh, we can ignore this real quick. So I want to copy this down, all that first set of commands. I just want to open up my repository, and I just want to press enter. And what it's done, it's generated a README file of our first project, and we can go ahead and add to this. I could say, this is the instructions to my project, right? Maybe you have a few developer side things that you want to add. Maybe you want to talk about, I created this project. You could obviously see all this on GitHub as well, all these metadata questions, but I can add personal writing. This project was a tutorial, right? To show others how to use GitHub. Or more specifically, version control, right? So I've made some updates to my README file, but we haven't integrated these updates to our repository quite yet. So let's talk about what we've just done by pushing in that command and updating our README file. So after we've pushed in this command into our terminal, we can then go ahead and come up here and click on our first project, or navigate to your repositories in one way or another. So I think I can either refresh, or I can, let's see if it worked. Oh, you know what? I know exactly why it didn't work quite yet. We need to, and this is actually perfect for the very next thing we need to do. So we've made updates to our project, right? So let me kind of explain in Lucidchart what we have going on again. So on my local machine, here's my laptop, or my local machine, and we have a GitHub version of code. So right now we have the most up-to-date version of the code, which is on my laptop, right? And right now the GitHub version of code is null. There's nothing there. And we've yet to do this, but we need to do a set of commands that will push all the code from my laptop into GitHub. So that's what we want to do next. Let me see what time we have. Okay, we're about 12 minutes in. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that on the next episode, episode 3. But this is all we should have done basically. And step 1 is build your GitHub account and copy this command into your VS Code, into your project, whatever it may be. So that's just step 1 real quick, and then I want you guys to update your README just with a few things about your project. That's it. I will see you on the next one, and we will cover how to do this process, which is update from our laptop to GitHub version control.